We are back 7:39 now with a new normal. As Americans slowly start to fly again, flight attendants are reminding passengers what they can do to keep everyone safe in the skies.
In a moment, we're going to speak with the president of the world's largest flight attendants union. But first, NBC's Tom Costello. He joins us from Reagan National with the latest. Hey, Tom, morning.
Hey guys, back at my second home. So as you know, air travel has picked up ever so slightly, but airports are still largely empty. But imagine the people on the front lines of this pandemic coming face to face every day with passengers, trying to keep them safe and themselves safe. From the nation's runways to the highways in the skies, the coronavirus is crippling the airline industry.
I'm here at the airport. It's 11:15 in the morning, and it is very quiet, as you can tell.
For those on the front lines, like Flight Attendant Matthew Cook, it's all about a new normal in the skies.
It's already a stressful process traveling, having to go through all the lines, and then now you have to add in the possibility of the infection of coronavirus.
The daily threat to personal safety, top of mind.
I try and think that everything is quote unquote normal, but there's always that little fear in my mind that I might get infected.
With passenger volume still down 71% domestically, airlines are focusing on ways to assure passengers it's safe to fly again. But some airlines say policies like blocking the middle seats simply aren't financially sustainable. Some flight attendants call that a double-edged sword.
From a business standpoint, they have to survive, and I want them to survive because I want to be employed come the fall. But from an individual standpoint, yes, I would love it if we capped our current passenger count.
And while airlines require passengers to wear face masks, most, but not all, comply.
How do you deal with somebody who doesn't want to wear a mask?
You have a conversation. You try and make it as easy as possible. Just say, this isn't just about you. This is about all of our passengers on our flight.
Now, a major flight attendant union is asking for enforcement power, a federal mandate on masks, allowing airlines to penalize those who don't comply. Beyond health concerns, looming job cuts as soon as this fall are adding to the anxiety. Last week, United warned nearly 40% of its workforce may lose their jobs this fall. American says it may be overstaffed by as many as 8,000 flight attendants. And Southwest notes it would need to see passenger levels triple to avoid massive layoffs later this year. For those who are preparing for takeoff, this advice from flight attendants: wash your hands, wipe down the tray table, the armrests, and the seats. And while this may not be practical for most, if you can afford it, buy the extra seat next to you to ensure more distance. For parents traveling with children, prepare your kids by talking to them about how the travel experience will be different this time. And, of course, wear a mask. And this sobering note here. When the airlines agreed to take federal money or ask for federal money, in exchange, they had to promise not to lay anybody off until October 1st. Well, now we're coming up towards that date, and the airlines have said we could be looking at tens of thousands of layoffs in the airline industry. That's got the unions asking Congress for some sort of relief. Hold it back to you.
All right, Tom, that brings us nicely to Sara Nelson. She's the international president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA. Hey, Sara, good morning. Tom was just talking about furloughs and layoffs. Right at this point, how many flight attendants have been laid off or furloughed?
Well, what we did in March was we got a provision in the CARES Act that is the most successful jobs program in all of the COVID relief. And what it says is that the money from the federal government can only go to workers' pay, benefits, keep us connected to our health care, and they cannot involuntarily furlough or lay anyone off. It also capped executive bonuses and banned stock buybacks and dividends. This is the most successful program of all of the coronavirus relief, but it ends at the end of September. And so we're asking for that to be extended, and it's got to be done now because airlines have to plan 2 months out for their scheduling.
All right. So, Sara, for flight attendants who are on the job right now, how are the airlines protecting them?
Well, we have worked really hard from the beginning of this pandemic, and we know it well because when epidemics break out, we can stop the spread at transportation's door. We're well beyond that. So the mask policies were so important. This is the most critical item that will help limit the risk of the spread of the virus. And so we really implored our airlines to do that when the federal government didn't step up. And what we've seen is a drop in cases with crews. But we have to be more clear about how people are supposed to wear those masks, what kind of mask etiquette they should practice when they take a drink or go to eat something. And that will keep us the most safe. We are also imploring the airlines to, of course, give us the proper PPE and also very flexible sick leave policies so that we can make sure that we're staying home if there's any thought at all that we may have contracted the virus.
Some airlines are mandating masks, some are encouraging masks. Do you think the FAA should step in and say everyone has to wear a mask, it's mandated?
It is absurd that the FAA has not done this yet, that DOT has not taken a leadership role here. On September 12th, 2001, there were changes to regulations in security, aviation security. And here we are, well into the spread of this virus, and still no mandate from the federal government, still no plan from the federal government. We absolutely need that backing from our government.
If someone doesn't want to wear a mask on the plane, I was just thinking, if I were a flight attendant, what would I do? I mean, you say to the person, please wear it, but what else are you guys supposed to be doing?
The vast majority of people come to the plane and want to follow the crew's instructions and want to have a safe, uneventful flight. But we do have individuals who challenge that and don't want to wear the mask. And the airlines are saying that they'll be banned from flying, but we need more backing from the federal government. We had a flight attendant who was just assaulted the other day, and all she can do is file charges herself. The airline is backing her, but we really need to have consequences, just like if you smoke on board. So people really understand that this has to be taken seriously, and there will be serious consequences if they don't comply.
She was assaulted on board a flight?
Yes, and she's hurt, and she is recovering, and the airline is supporting her, so I'm grateful for that. But these are the kinds of situations that we're put in, and this risk is very high. As long as we are not clear with the traveling public about what the requirements are, how they need to wear that, and that if they don't comply, this is putting everyone else in danger. And public health policy has to require that we're in this together, especially in the airline industry, where we cannot properly socially distance.
All right. Sara Nelson, we appreciate your time with us this morning. Thank you so much for your insight.
So interesting to get that perspective.
Yeah.
And the way, when you should put it that way, you can't light up on a flight.
Right.
No.
So, and there's you get fined for that. It's
and they compel you to wear a seatbelt on board as well.
And I feel like we've talked about a lot of people, but those flight attendants who are on those flights every single day need a little more attention, too, on that.
They're on the front line, too.